Supposedly suffered from migraines, probably at least past 10 years or so. I felt another one coming on. There was something different about this one. So I knew something was wrong. So I told my wife, Amy, I said, I think we need to go to the hospital.
They took him for a CT scan, and they came back and told me that it was a brain bleed. Jeez, where does that come from, you know? And again, everything's wandering.
When I first met Andy, he was having really bad headaches, and it was attributed to this fairly large-sized tumor in his head. Looking at the imaging, I was suspicious, strongly suspicious, that it was a GBM, which is a very malignant brain tumor. And I felt that it probably should be removed. And Andy decided, appropriately I think, just to have it biopsied and removed at the same operation, which we did.
Part of the surgery, he used a special solution that would illuminate the vessels because of the type of tumor he believed it to be, a GBM, which has a lot of legs, so to speak.
The thing that's interesting about protoporphyrin 9 is that it is a molecule that if you shine a blue light on it, it will fluoresce pink. And so it's very useful surgically when it works, which is about 70% of GBMs, in that you can really very specifically tell where the tumor ends and the brain begins, which is not as easy as it might seem. So to be able to see where the pink ends and the normal brain begins is incredibly useful.
Got through surgery, no problem, very extensive surgery. A couple days later, when they'd remove the stitches, is when he told us exactly what it was. He says, I don't believe you ever suffered from migraines. I believe you had this tumor all along. Glioblastoma, multiforme, grade 4. To me, it's like a new car, BMW, I don't know. I had no idea what a GBM was. No clue. Fortunately, unfortunately, my wife, Amy, knew exactly what it was.
I really believe that it was a death sentence in my head. I felt like it was going to be the end. He sat down next to me, and he said, we are just going to have to kick it, and we did.
I said, I have to beat this. I have kids' weddings and college graduations I need to be at.
When Andy approached me about being in a clinical trial, I said, well, as a matter of fact, we do have a trial. The basic idea here is that we want to give more chemotherapy to kill more tumor cells, more of these infiltrating tumor cells that we know are there even though we can't see them. But at the same time, we don't want to hurt your bone marrow. And so we take your own blood cells, we genetically engineer them to be resistant to the chemotherapy, and then we give radiation and the standard chemotherapy, but in increasing doses. Instead of the same dose every time, we start at the regular dose, but every time we give the second dose and the third dose through the 6th round of chemo, we increase the dose significantly, and we think that you'll tolerate it based on this genetically engineered compound that we've genetically engineered into your bone marrow. And in fact, Andy has been a champion of this. He tolerated all 6 rounds, did great, and he's approaching his 5th year, as we say, craniversary.
I feel incredible. No visible scars, thankfully. And look at me and say, wow. Still think some people, when I came back to work, originally thought I'll never come back, or I'm just going to be, in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. Truthfully, I didn't know. I've never been through brain surgery before. Not let this beat me. No reason to. I feel too good. Gotten too far on this. And I'm not going to be another statistic.
Andy's a fighter, and he's really embraced this concept and toughed it out. Many patients who survive for 5 years, and I have other patients who've survived 5, 6, 10 years. Most of them have had multiple procedures. Andy had the one surgery and the clinical trial, and that's it. He's not had any recurrence. So that's very impressive.
I was able to make it. Like I said, we had college graduations for my kids. Made it to all their graduations, made it to all the weddings, and most recently became grandparents 2 times this year.
If we hadn't gone to UH, I honestly in my heart believe that Andy would not be here today.
I had cancer. I don't have cancer. There is hope.